Hello, everybody. Yes, I decided I wanted to make a video quite later tonight because I made a post earlier on about sort of a bit of an interesting dynamic that's going on at my place of work, and the sort of realization that there's something of like a very distinctive, almost like a power struggle sort of thing that goes on. And I mean that between those who are technically in charge and the ones that they are responsible for managing, well, being the management and all that. And you could get workers like me who just come in day after day, don't cause a problem, don't cause problems, just come in day out, don't go off on the sick. I mean, when I came into work just today, I was absolutely unwell, but I still came in anyway. And I've only ever been off on the sick like once since I started working full time, since I want to say roughly July of 2019. So almost for 5 whole years into basically a working man's life, stuff like that. Anyway, so what I'm trying to get behind, ladies and gentlemen, is the idea that, well, despite everything, there are just people out there who will look at you as, from the point of view of superior to inferior. And yes, listen, the structural like hierarchy and stuff like that exists in not just in a working environment, but just in society. And yes, there are going to be some people who are obviously higher up the ladder through years of experience, through wealth, through intellect, through knowledge, wisdom, all that good stuff. But the thing that people do seem to almost forget, even in these instances, is that does that technically make one person superior over the other? Well, fundamentally, no, not really. What is most important, ladies and gentlemen, is that equality means people being equal. And I mean, just I'll give you guys an example. Is that when the pandemic was on, nurses and doctors alike, and even surgeons, were absolutely within their rights to refuse to be vaccinated. Why is this, you may ask? Is because for legal reasons, and this is something I've looked into quite a lot, is that but you want to offer you still want to give the people who work in the professions of medicine that same choice, so that for legal reasons you can't say that a lawyer is superior to the law compared to a doctor or a nurse, and that's the reason why they do it, is that it's to protect the law, and it's also to protect the rights of choice. I still know many people who have never had the COVID-19 vaccination, and they're very much still with us. And again, you maybe say to yourself, well, that's just sort of how that is, but it doesn't mean they won't get COVID. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't stop me from getting COVID, but you know what? I'm glad I had the vaccination, both, but all three shots and stuff like that. But again, that was entirely my choice. Nobody ever had to pressure me into doing it. I got it because, from my point of view, I didn't want to catch COVID, and if it meant taking every precaution to make sure I didn't, then that was entirely within my choice and within my rights. And it's this exact same thing for anybody in any walks of life. They absolutely had the right to refuse that sort of thing. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all this up, ladies and gentlemen, is because, yes, you may argue in this very specific instance, to use just that example, that's the sort of thing I'm trying to get across, is that what no one person is superior to the other to the law, because unfortunately, if that sort of thing happens, then almost the structure of like these sorts of things get out, and a lot of people stir and create articles and go on these sorts of self-righteous crusades to say that, well, we may as well lay the blame. We may as well lay the blame at the door of X, Y, and Z, whoever we want to scapegoat for these sorts of things, because they will, ladies and gentlemen, they'll scapegoat anybody they can to just sort of get a quick answer, or even just to rile even more anger. These sorts of things happen, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just one of those things you're gonna have to keep an eye on as closely as possible. So, like I said before, well, certainly if you've read my community post, is that I could do all this, I could make my business so much money a day, blah 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 blah, And it feels as if the reality of things is that I'm still only on minimum wage. And I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I know in my bones that I'm better than minimum wage. I think a lot of people who are working today know fine well they're better than this. But it means, well, how exactly do we get off minimum wage? How do we get onto a living wage? Or how do we go even further than that? Well, the sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen, and the only way to do it is to work for it. Work for what you love, ladies and gentlemen, and go with it. And that's exactly the sort of thing I do. I do what I love to do. And yes, of course, listen, I've had plenty of opportunities before where I've actually had success in the things that I do. Maybe not in terms of materialistic things, but out of a sense of pride and the fact that actually I'm a lot better than what I think I am, which that sort of level of like self-worth and self dignity, ladies and gentlemen, is the sort of thing that actually plenty of people don't get told enough of. And if people were openly honest about how good they thought they were, maybe they would actually start believing that they were even better than that. And if we go one step further, maybe that's the sort of thing that could motivate us all to do even more. Now, again, I don't mean this in the sense of people who are already busting their hump and are probably in much worse positions than me, because that's the thing you've got to be very, very careful, is that there's going to be people who are incredibly more vulnerable positions than people like you and me. And regardless, ladies and gentlemen, it's those that we should be looking after. It's the strong protecting the weak. And it's just one of these things. We need to be looking after each other. That's the sort of thing we need in this day and age. No matter who's in charge or whoever we've got to answer to, we've got to look after each other. We've got to be the strong protecting the weak, because it's a tough world, ladies and gentlemen, and some people think it is too much to handle. And that's why we've got to look after the weak, because it's so hard to tell whether one person may see something as easy and another will see it as difficult, or exactly if one person is just sort of on the edge. You've just got to be openly compassionate, responsible, understanding, motivate them. Just again, like I said, it ultimately revolves around common sense, ladies and gentlemen. And you would be so very surprised about how many people just seem to think that common sense is just a thing people say because it makes them sound clever. You need to tell some people don't do the good cop, bad cop thing. They just get straight to the point, and it doesn't always help the situation. I mean, it's again, it's a case by case thing. But what I'm trying to just wrap all this up is by saying this: don't let yourself be bullied, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be brought down by people who think they are superior to you. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, if I had it my way, I would make sure to let people know that no one person in this country is truly dominant or superior than the other. Everybody is equal, and everybody deserves the same rights. And in that way, ladies and gentlemen, let equality, prosperity reign over this land and beyond. Thank you.